The air was heavy with the scent of damp earth and blooming dogwood on that spring afternoon in 2008. But inside Granny Pris's home, the atmosphere shifted towards something much older and colder once again. Johnny, a grandson of the legendary Pris Blalock Adams, leaned back in his chair. Granny Pris's eyes clouded with the weight of a century's worth of borrowed memory as she spoke. She didn't just tell a story, she handed me an inheritance, a story passed from Granny Pris to his father years ago. And now I'm telling you, those words were forever etched into his bones through her now.
Some say it's better to forget, that we should bury the ghosts and move on. But for those of us in the hollows and the backwoods, the facts are embedded in the soil. You don't just move on from what was done to our kin.
The peace of their rural homestead had been shattered by the approach of Sherman's army, a force that moved like a wildfire across the South, leaving nothing but ash and hunger in its wake. No mercy was shown for anyone, not even innocent families along the way. The story she told transported us back to the dying light of the war between the states, or as some call it, the Civil War. But there was nothing civil about this war for the Blalock family. They looked at it as an invasion by the North, and it went against their given rights for North Carolina to secede from the Union. But this story is not a grand tale of battlefield strategy or political maneuvering, or even to discuss states' rights. This is a story of the merciless reality of the Union occupation.
Catch me if you can!
Pris was only a child then, small and helpless against the tide of history. When Pris was just 9 years old, she went outside one night just before dark and saw men gathering in the fields by her home. She came in and told her daddy that there were men all around the house in the fields. Her father realized that it was Sherman's army, and they had arrived and figured the men were camping. The soldiers didn't bother the Blalock home throughout that night. Sherman's army had just taken a beating at Bentonville a few days before, and they realized quickly the next morning they weren't in a good way, as Pris described it.
Open it.
When the sun came up the next morning, soldiers came to the door. They did knock, but came in with bayonets fixed. They searched the house for money and anything of value.
Hold it right there.
After they ransacked the house and even set fire to a barn in the back where some farm implements were stored, they shot most of the animals, piled them up, poured coal oil on them, and burned them. They did spare a young colt, apparently thinking they would steal it and take it with them when they left. Even though General Lee had already surrendered, Sherman's army was still terrorizing the South as it marched through. The Blalocks were simply in the path of Sherman's army. 2 animals escaped the jailing, the family's milk cow and a young colt. Wheeler's cavalry had already come through Willow Springs a couple of days earlier and warned that the Yankees were coming.
The Yanks are coming!
So Bill Blalock, the oldest boy, had tied the cow up down near Middle Creek where it was hidden in sort of a swamp. The hams were hung on wires high in trees, near a creek on the other side of the farm. One of the workers on the farm, named Atlas, knew where the hams were, and that turned out later to be a big mistake. He slipped while being threatened and mentioned that they did have some hams hidden down in the woods.
Yes, straight into the trees.
The Yankees told Atlas that they would take him with them if he'd tell them where the hams were. They got the hams, baked them for hours on their fires.
Did you see the look on his face?
Ate all they could, and then threw the rest away. Then they came back to the house, took Pris's father Hugh Blalock inside, sat him down in a chair, and put rifles in his face. They demanded, "Tell us where your money and valuables are, or you won't live to regret it."
Don't move! Stay
right
where you
are. He was really fed
are.
up by then, just angry and disgusted. "Go ahead and kill me. I'm as ready to die as I'll ever be," was his reply. The soldiers didn't shoot him,
He ain't gonna talk, boys.
but Pris had to go through the trauma of thinking her daddy would be killed. That was sorry of them to do that right in front of the children. The impact of that experience would last Grandma Pris the rest of her life. But Hugh never did tell the soldiers where the valuables were, so they didn't get them or the milk cow. But they did get the hams, but only because Atlas had told them where they were hidden. When the army left, they went on to the next house. They burned 3 miles of fence up Old Stage Road. The 18th Corps of Sherman's army had 20,000 men entering rally from the south. and there was no way individual families could defend themselves. When they left, the soldiers took the colt which belonged to Bill.
I'm taking this colt with me.
Bill followed the army begging for his colt. He followed them all the way to Swift Creek, about 8 miles.
Give me my darn pony
He must
back!
have begged and begged until some of the soldiers got tired of hearing him and
All right,
said,
give him his darn pony back!
Bill got back home and was so happy and shouted.
I've got my colt back!
The soldiers wouldn't take Atlas with them after all either. Atlas begged them to take him and said,
Mr. Hugh won't ever give me nothing to eat anymore. That's your problem.
He did stay on and became most loyal to the family like any other family member. Years later, Atlas and some other men were talking at a country store about him telling the Yankees where the hams were. Atlas replied,
It disgraced the Blalock family. Come to think of it, it disgraced me too, because I'm a Blalock myself.
The next spring, with no animals except another mule and the milk cow, the Blalock boys had to hitch themselves up once again to the plow and work the fields. But the wounds from that event will last generations.
It will take the South years to recover from those wounds. Some may think that those war days are long past, but in reality, in the South, we have an old saying, truth crushed to earth is truth still, and like a seed will rise again, says it best. I think that building the Reconciliation Monument in Arlington was the least that could have happened when it was unveiled in 1914 under President Woodrow Wilson and approval by President William Howard Taft in 1906. It was intended to symbolize national healing after the war. Let's hope that it continues to do that once again when it's rebuilt and it's completed.